Hey y'all. Excuse the way I look. I feel like crap today. But I restarted this After movie series on Netflix last night and I've watched it before, but I fell off. I don't think I've seen the last two movies. So I couldn't get to sleep last night and I watched the first two movies. Um the first one of course being called After. So here is my personal review of this movie. I loved it, first of all. Um, I don't know how they found the actress that plays Tessa and the actor that plays Hardin. And those are our two main characters, right? Amazing fucking match. Okay. Um, First of all, Tessa's beautiful. She's like the cutest, you know, girl. And honestly, cuz she comes out as like, "Oh, this very sheltered, very shy um a white girl from the burbs, girl." So, and she's had the same best friend slash boyfriend her entire life. Um Also has never slept with him, but like they've known each other their whole lives. Her mom wants so bad for her to marry him, but he's like younger than her. He's like a year or two younger than her, I guess. When the movie starts out, she's going to college. And so her boyfriend Noah and her mom are going to the college and they're like walking her and her things to her dorm that she's going to be staying in. They walk in, and here goes this very edgy girl. I think her name is Steph. Yes, Steph. And she's sitting there with her girlfriend, Tristan. And they're like vaping and um the way they're dressed, I guess, is sorry. And the way they're dressed is like a red flag to her mom. And you know her mom takes her in the hallway and she's all like, "You're gonna move rooms right now." And she's like, "Girl, no, like, let me have a life." And so she's like, "Just trust me, mom. I'm not that type of person. You know who I am." So anyways, they leave her. um she starts, getting into her schoolwork. She starts studying. Steph actually seems like a nice girl, and she seems kind of accepting, of like, okay, well, she's a freshman. Like, let me take her under my wing type of shit. So she takes her to this party um, while she's wearing her little formal dress because she's a good girl right now. And so she's like never had sex before. She's never partied before. She's never drank. She's never smoked. Like none of this. So this is all new to her. And so they get to this party, right? And then there's like this group of friends, and among the friends there's like this douchey guy called Jace. And he'll come into play later, is the only reason I'm mentioning it. Then you got the biggest bitch in the world, and her name is Molly, and she's real pretty. She has like pink in her hair, and like she's so badass, and she's all over Hardin because like I guess they hook up or whatever. She's all over him. They're all on the couch, and then um So Steph introduces all of them to Tessa, and of course Molly is like, let's play truth or dare. And so she starts off, I guess trying to expose Tessa for being a, a nice girl. I don't know. And so she's like, oh my God, are you a virgin? And Tessa's like, okay, like, let me just do a dare, right? Let me just do the dare instead of truth. So, of course, Jace, he, he says, I dare you to make out with Hardin. And so Hardin gets up. He sees her. I don't know. I think, like, they did a good job of showing the instant attraction, and chemistry that there was between them. Um, she kind of gives me the same vibes as when Belly looks at Conrad in The Summer I Turned Pretty. So, she's very, and he's very, and so they kind of have this intense look at each other all the time. Anyway, so they get real close to each other. She's like, I'm not playing this game anymore. She walks away, as and Molly was recording that whole time. So it's one of those things, another spoiler alert here. She doesn't know until towards the end of the movie that there was a continuance of that recording after she walked away. And so she walks away. We'll come back to that. She walks away into his room. She didn't know it was his room, even though there was like a big old British flag, and he's like the only British guy there. Anyways, so she's admiring his books. She walks in there. She thinks it's just a random room, and so he walks in there and he's like, hey, what are you doing in my room? She's like, your room? I just walked in here. Anyway, so they find a common thing between them with the types of books that they read. And so, yeah. And so, anyways, they almost kiss, and she's like, I gotta go. Because she, like, remembers that she has a boyfriend. Anyway, I guess she goes and calls her boyfriend Noah, right? And he is just so, like, they made a good job of making him boring, because he really was boring. Like, he gets mad that she's at a party and she had a drink. I mean, she's in college. Like, what do you expect? And so she's just like, whatever. And anyway, she goes home. Sorry, I'm tired. It's early. And so anyway, she goes home. Um and then now through the rest of the movie, it just seems, she can't get away from Hardin. And so they always keep like bumping into each other. They end up having the same class the next day, and they have like a debate in the class. And he says something about, like, love isn't real, and you can just turn it on and off. And anyways, then I think he, like, kind of softens up a little bit, and like he takes her to like his favorite place one day when they see each other at the coffee shop. And um this TV is really irking me. Let me turn it off. I keep seeing it in my glasses. So, anyways, yeah. Takes her to his favorite place, which is like this little like random ass lake. They go for a swim, and he's like, I don't know, the chemistry is building like immensely. And I don't know how they captured all of the chemistry and the passion between these two, or like if they dated in real life, because this is real good. Okay, I was like, okay, girl. And so I think she seems like, like she wants to experience something else. Like it's always just been Noah, and that's just what her mom planned out for her. And she got to live a life too. So anyway, um, so he's like kind of like touching on her, and he's like, "Have you never been touched before?" And she's like, "No, you know." And so, anyways, they keep on hanging out for a good portion of the movie. They kind of show their relationship growing, and they show his walls kind of being let down. Like we all get introduced to him as like, oh, he's a bad boy, like he's that cool guy. Anyways, he does come off like that. He definitely dresses like that. But when he's around Tessa, of course he's not like that. He's actually very sweet, very into poetry, and he's also like an English major, and you know, so and then what happens? Oh, I can't remember all the way what happens, but oh yeah. So anyways, they had, like I said, they had been spent a lot of time together or whatever. Um but she's basically kind of been trying to find a way to tell Noah like about it, and kind of like come clean to him, and break it off pretty much. And Hardin's like, well, don't do it on my account. Oh, that's what happens. Yes, so she wants to find a way to tell Noah, although she doesn't get the time to, because Noah shows up unexpectedly to surprise her at her school one day, and she's kind of like, "Oh, hey there." Like it's so awkward when she sees him. And so she ends up going to this bonfire. And of course, like around the same time, like right before he shows up, her and Hardin kind of like have a falling out, I guess, because I said they had been spending time together. So then they go to this bar slash restaurant, I guess, a bar and grill, and they are having like some burgers or whatever. And of course, who shows up? Molly and Jace, the assholes. So they show up, and he Hardin's kind of like, let's just go, Tessa. And Molly's trying to be like all over him, and he kind of just keeps on slapping her hand away. And so Tessa gets up because he gives her the keys or whatever, and he's like, I'll be there in just a second, let me just say bye. So anyways, he talks to them while she's waiting over by the bar. He comes back over with his whole demeanor, and everything has changed about him, and he's kind of just like, you know like, oh, this ain't nothing serious type of vibe, and he kind of like pushes her away. And so she leaves. And then that's when like Noah shows up like the next day type of stuff. So, anyways, they go to this bonfire where, of course, the whole gang is there. Steph and Tristan and Molly and Jace and Hardin, they're all there. Um, Hardin is like, I guess, sitting next to Molly at first, but like he's totally not into her anymore. You know what I mean? He was at the beginning of the movie when they were playing Truth or Dare. So, Tessa shows up with Noah, and of course, in clear view of Hardin, so that she can make him jealous is what the vibes give. Anyways, then they start playing some weird game, and so Jace tries to like kiss Tessa because he's like sitting next to her or whatever, and Noah at first is kind of like, hey, back off, buddy, like what is he gonna do? Hardin gets so upset that he's like across, like he's like not really right next to them, but he jumps up and like is there in 2 seconds and starts fighting with Jace. And so Noah kind of gets suspicious and he's like, what the fuck was that about? Um, Anyways, nothing really happens. They are laying in bed together, in the middle of the night. Landon, who actually, the fuck? Uh, Landon, who is actually like a freshman as well and is her first like college friend, like actual friend, because they're in that same class together where her and Hardin had that debate. So they're in class together. They become like BFFs. Turns out Landon is going to be Hardin's step brother because Hardin's dad is like the chancellor at this college and he is dating Landon's mom because like 10 years ago um Hardin's dad left his mom, right, back in London. And so they haven't really, like, his mom and him haven't really seen each other in like 10 years because something very tragic happened. Apparently, like, he was like 8 years old, and his dad used to be an alcoholic, I guess, a drunk. And so he got into some trouble with some guys and they came to their house in London and they tried to they were looking for his dad but ended up like assaulting his mom basically, and he saw the whole thing because yeah, I mean he was only 8, but he saw the whole thing and he tried to help and he couldn't help, and like so now he has nightmares about it all the time, but the nightmares stopped when he started seeing Tessa, is what was said. Um, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself because we don't know about the nightmares until the second movie. Anyways, so Landon and Hardin don't get along. Hardin is not very accepting of the new life that he's being presented with. He's also not very like okay with his dad because he blames him for that night because I mean it was technically his fault. He like owed some guy some money and so that's why they were looking for him. Um, so they don't have the best relationship. Anyways, that night after the bonfire, Noah falls asleep. Tessa can't go to sleep. She's thinking about Hardin, right? Landon calls her in the middle of the night and says, hey, something's wrong. I didn't know what type of relationship you two have, but your name came up. He's flipping out. And I need you to come over here because you might be the only person that can, like, calm him down. She goes over, rides her little bike all the way over there, and girl, she totally forgets about Noah, totally forgets about him, and basically is like, she basically sleeps with him But like not all the way. Like I guess, he went down on her, and they just have this whole like passionate, I mean, every single time that they are like getting to that place, like it's so passionate. They did an incredible job. I will tell you that much. The chemistry is really fucking there. So anyway, she falls asleep over there after she talks to him, and like anyways, so I believe, no, that's not when he tells her. Okay. She wakes up, she's like, oh shit, got all these missed phone calls, right, from Noah. He's sitting outside, and so she gets back and she's like, I'm sorry, um a friend needed me. She's like very vague about the details, and of course, like worst timing ever, Hardin had to have followed her there because he's standing right there like when she's trying to explain to Noah about what's going on, but like he sees him and he's just like, wait, what's going on? She's like, I'm so sorry. And like she can't really say anything else. And so Noah just is like, fuck this shit, like, and he dips out, like rolls out on her. And so they're broken up. Um she goes back to her dorm, and Steph comforts her. She tells her like, hey, Noah and I just broke up. She's like, come here, so she tries to comfort her. A very nice moment, which is when you get that feeling like Steph is actually like a nice person, although she does know about the dare. So anyways, after they break up, Tessa and Hardin like kind of officially start dating. And so then you get another like montage of how cute that they are, and like they've been dating for a couple months now and everything's going great until I don't remember what does happen. Oh, the wedding happens. The wedding between Landon's mom and Hardin's dad. Tessa convinces Hardin to go to the wedding. She's like, look, let's just go support. Let's just try to get over anything, that we feel. Like, let's stop resenting people and, just give it a shot. So they go. Hardin gets all fucking worked up because his dad is talking about him when he was little, and he like used to read him poems and quotes from novels, and he's just like all mad about it, and he's just like, that's not how I remember it, and that's not how it was. You're a liar. Anyways, so that night, Tessa and Hardin finally have sex, for the first time. And then that's the same night that he tells her what happened with him and his mom, back when he was 8. And in the second movie, we find out he's never told anyone that. So she's special. Anyways, so they have sex. I believe then they wake up. I totally forgot a big part of this. Her mom gets real mad after they break up, and so she walks in on them, right? And they're like kind of about to have sex, but she walks in and she was all like, y'all broke up, you and Noah broke up, and you're with this guy and he's gonna break your heart, and you know what, you're cut off. And so once she cut her off, Hardin goes to this place, like this house, I guess, that's like a family friend who stays in Italy all year, and he's only there to water the plants, but I guess the person in Italy pays for it. I don't know. Anyways, so they start living together there. That's where that whole, like, okay, they're together now comes from. So they come back there after the wedding. They have sex for the first time. Then I don't know if it's the next day or a couple days after, he receives a few messages from Molly and saying, "Hey, meet us at the bar tonight," or Bob's, or I forgot the name of the place. So she sees the text messages and she's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, he's like, "Don't worry about it. Trust me, I will be back." Um, he's not back. And um yeah, so she goes out to find him and instead finds his car with none other than the douche himself, Jace. She's like, "What are you doing in his car?" And he's like, "Well, I borrowed it, you know?" Anyway, he tells her where he's going to be at. So she shows up at this place right before Jace shows up with who else? Hardin. Because who's sitting there at the table? Molly. Molly, and then there's, I forgot the other guy's name, but he's one of the nicer guys in the group. He's there, and then Steph is there. It's them three having lunch. And so Tessa shows up and she's like, what's going on, bro? Where's Hardin at? And yeah, we're living together, like, whatever. Jay shows up with Hardin just a couple seconds later. And then Molly ends up showing her the fucking video of from earlier that I talked about, Truth or Dare, when she walked away and said, "I'm not playing this game anymore." It kept on recording when he goes, "You know what? Yes, it's still a dare. I bet you I can make her fall in love with me." And then just turn it off, just like that, and dump her. So, of course, she's heartbroken, and he walks outside or runs after her, and it's like raining, of course. Um, and so she's like, "So you're just a fucking liar." And he's basically like, "Hey, like, I said that before I knew you. Like," and of course, this is like the main the main story in all of these romance movies is that, like, everything was based off a bet and they forgot about the bet because they actually fell in love with the person. That's what happened here. Okay? And so she ends up taking this internship from this guy that he actually knows, right? Um, some guy named Christian Vance. So she takes an internship, um, and he ended up writing some paper or whatever, um, basically mentioned her name and was like, "I was wrong before about my opinion about, like, love not being real and all this." So he, like, mentions her name and it says, "I'm sorry," and then they see each other again at his favorite spot, which was that lake. We don't really get any closure from that, but, like, we then it kind of like does a summary at the beginning of the second movie. So lots of drama going on. Lots of drama. I just love that movie. I really do. And I'm about to make the video for the second movie. So like, comment, subscribe, and we're going to go through this whole series. Okay? We're going to go through it all. See y'all on the next one.